Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday's episode of Trending. It's great to be back with you. Apologies for not having an episode on Monday. It's fair to say I wasn't in great shape, but we're back and it's good to be with you. Right, today we're going to dive into AI. Now, this is a subject that we talk about a lot on this program because it's so pivotal to the next stage of the agenda. It's so pivotal to the next stage of this control system. So many of the things that we speak about, if not all of them, rely on the advancement of technology like AI, the creation of this control grid in order to be possible. So it's so important that we highlight the steps that are clearly being taken towards that end goal, because they're not going to do it in one step. They're going to do it bit by bit, all of which they're going to use sales pitches saying this is going to be a great improvement for humanity. This technology will do X, Y, and Z for us. It will make you safer. It will make healthcare better. It will make jobs easier, all of those things. They're sales pitches. They're not true. When we do, we talk about new things or events or announcements or policies on this program, we'll always explain they'll have two reasons for doing it. They'll have the sales pitch reason, which is what they think they can get away with, what they think they can sell to the public, and then they have the real reason behind it. Now, with all of these, whether it's digital ID, whether it's the advancement of technology, whether it's overseas wars, whether it's tax rises, whether it's climate change, they will have the official narrative, which is why they're doing X, Y, and Z, and they'll have the real one. The official one is what they think they can sell you with minimal backlash. Doesn't always work, but it's what they think they can get away with. The real one is what we talk about on this show. So we're going to hear from the US Secretary of War, which was a name reclassified from Secretary of Defense by the non-war president, that is, Pete Hegseth. Let's listen to what he had to say here.
The future of American warfare is here, and it's spelled AI. As technologies advance, so do our adversaries. But here at the War Department, we are not sitting idly by. Under the leadership of President Trump, America will lead the charge on this technological transformation by revolutionizing the way we win. And that's why today we are unleashing GenAI.mil. This platform puts the world's most powerful frontier AI models, starting with Google Gemini, directly into the hands of every American warrior. At the click of a button, AI models on GenAI can be utilized to conduct deep research, format documents, and even analyze video or imagery at unprecedented speed. Building on the great work of Undersecretary Emil Michael and his team, we will continue to aggressively field the world's best technology to make our fighting force more lethal than ever before. And all of it is American-made. The possibilities with AI are endless. Now, let's get to work.
So, releasing Generation AI or GenAI, the future of American warfare. And then, just to add to that, we're going to have a little passage here from Alex Jones. Listen to what he has to say.
Trump is set to sign an executive order establishing an AI federal dictatorship. And I don't mean that in the sense of a political dictatorship over our republic, but an executive dictatorship over the directives on how it is built, how it is designed, how it is deployed.
Now, if Alex Jones is criticising Donald Trump and his regime, then it must be serious, because the guy has done everything he could possibly do to not do that, because he hitched his wagon to the Trump train and has tried so hard to defend even the most indefensible of policies and decisions and actions. But the fact that he's now calling this out shows that it's gone so far that you can't even play 5D, 6D, 7D chess or claim that anymore. Now, the development of technology is something that people will argue is inevitable and something that people will argue has been for the betterment of humanity. I say this all the time. You're sat watching this show all around the world. Without technology, we wouldn't be able to do that. I'm just sat here in a room in Derby with a camera and a mic and can broadcast to the entire world. That is an amazing effect of technology. People have walked that would have never walked. People have lived who wouldn't have lived. People have heard, seen, all those things that they wouldn't have done without technology. So I'm not anti-technology. I'm anti the overuse of technology, and I'm anti-technology becoming the master, not the servant. And what's very, very important when it comes to technology like artificial intelligence is who is controlling it and to what end. Now, in this story, as Alex Jones points out here, in this executive order, the US federal department, so Donald Trump and his regime, are now in charge of all AI development in the United States. Now, that is them in charge of what it does, how it's rolled out, the safety procedures behind it, who is going to be in the gun sights of it, the detriment, the negative sides of it, and the real agenda behind it as to what end. To what end is this technology being released? And that's what should always be part of the discourse when it comes to the rollout of this technology, is to what end is this being used for? Now, if you said to people, we've invented this new technology, we believe it can help people who have lost limbs, we can believe it can help them walk, everyone's going to say, okay, fantastic. We're on board with the development of that. We're on board with the rollout of that. And we're on board with the usage of that because that's for the benefit of humanity. If we're going to say we're going to roll out a technology that's going to help kids that are deaf, we're going to help them be able to hear. Okay, again, you're explaining what the technology is. You're explaining how it's going to be used. And you're making a clear point of how this technology is going to benefit certain people. Whereas at the moment, this rollout is, in theory, benefiting people in the short term. Now, it's benefiting people in certain ways, but really, in my opinion, it's benefiting people in ways that allow them to be lazy, that allows them to ask ChatGPT or Grok what to think, what to say, what to write, how to appear intelligent, how to reply to an email, how to formulate an article, how to edit a video, how to reply to a text message. It's asking for facts and information on a particular event, a particular story, a particular person, all of which, I say information in brackets there, in air quotes, because the information or facts that you're going to get are going to be subjective depending on what AI algorithm or program you're using. So therefore, they're not facts. Facts are not subjective. So for me, I don't understand why this is not a bigger story where people are going, hang on a minute. We've seen the massive rollout of technology over the last half a century. We've seen how much it's changed society. We've seen how much in the last decade it's changed jobs, it's changed the workplace, it's changed shopping experiences with self-service checkouts, with the laying off of so many staff. You know, you go into a high street bank in Britain these days, you're lucky to see a member of staff. Everything is electronic and automated. You go into a supermarket, the same. How many companies have laid off staff because AI have replaced their jobs, particularly the ones that are quite simple to be automated, you know, the administrative jobs, the email-related jobs. AI has replaced computer programmers in lots of different positions. Even video editors, it's replaced in many different positions. People are using deep fakes and AI technology to create videos, to create presentations, to create promotions. It's the rollout and the explosion of it has been utterly insane. And at no point really have anyone in large numbers gone, have we gone over the threshold here where this actually is at the detriment now of humanity? It's massively at the detriment of humanity. We live in a generation now where people don't know how to form real relationships. People don't know how to talk to each other. You've got a workplace dynamic now where people can't do what they used to do in the sense of, you know, a working day, a 9-to-5 working day. People are struggling or claim to be struggling to be able to do that. We've allowed technology to become so involved in our lives that we've, in my opinion, lost touch with reality. We've lost touch with reality and the facts that the best things in life will always happen offline. The best things in life will never involve technology. That human interaction with another person, whether that be your partner, whether that be your family, whether that be your children, whether that be your friends, you don't need technology for that. Get out in nature. Go and walk. Go and enjoy time away from a screen and you will understand what I'm saying. The best things in life are not about technology. However, and I'm going to come to a story later on actually about this, we have been conditioned to believe that the best things in life are online. If you're not on social media, you're missing out. If you don't have thousands of likes on every post, no one likes you. If you don't have millions of hits on your YouTube channel, then you're a waste of time. That's so far removed from the actual reality of life and the actual reality of what makes a meaningful and fulfilled life. I can tell you that, 100%. But that's digressing. The reason that this story is important is because before Donald Trump came in, the whole Silicon Valley, which is where a lot of this technology comes from, the whole Silicon Valley oligarch of Google, of Facebook, of Twitter, they were officially ideologically aligned with the left wing. They were ideologically aligned with the Democrat Party, with liberal policies, with the woke agenda, with the Democrats in general. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Trump gets in, you've got Zuckerberg at the White House, you've got Bezos at the White House, Musk, Trump's mate, bought Twitter. The whole Google narrative seems to have changed, and obviously that then translates into YouTube as well. And suddenly, right-wing accounts were allowed back and were massively amplified for a fair while now. And it feels, well, it doesn't feel, it is inorganic in the way it's happened. And for me, the reason that's happened is a rebranding, essentially, because people have become tired of the woke agenda. They've become tired of identity politics in many ways. They've become tired of being told they're all racist or they're all sexist or they're all homophobic or transphobic or any phobic you want to add for pointing out quite valid and legitimate concerns about certain issues. However, the agenda behind these companies, which is the rollout and furtherment of AI and other technologies, that's got to continue. But you've aligned yourself with a movement through things like censorship that people are tiring of, people have had enough of. But you need the agenda of your businesses to continue. Very simple. You just rebrand it and rebadge it, which is exactly what they've done. So they've now aligned more with Trump politics, with the MAGA movement. So now all of a sudden, somebody that 10 years ago was seen as a threat, Elon Musk, is their hero. Someone that 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was seen as a woke liberal, is now seen as somebody on their side. Jeff Bezos, the same. It's very, very clear the reason for that is because the people who would naturally be opposed to the rollout of this technology in such a way that's going to have such an impact on our lives, they're in that base that you needed to get back on board. This base over here are still fine with it. They have no issue with that. It's how do you get the base that are skeptical to what you're trying to do? How do you get them to listen to you? How do you get them on board with you? And that's what they've done. They've rebranded. All of a sudden now, what was a woke ideology is now all of a sudden a MAGA ideology, and we're seeing that roll out and play out. Hence why now the man who claimed that AI could be the end of humanity is now the face of AI and selling dystopia quite openly on his Twitter feed every single day. And Trump has said that they're going to control AI and its development and how it's used and how it's rolled out. How sinister is that? What's the difference between that and socialism and fascism? Where the state has all the control over the assets of the people and they dictate to them. What's the difference? Yet Trump is supposedly, or sells himself, as the polar opposite of those people and that ideology. What is the difference? If I said to you now, I'll give you all a paycheck every single month, but I've got to control every penny in this country, that would be a socialist. That would be a fascist attitude, which is that you only get something if I tell you you can, and I've got to have all the control. What's the difference between that and what Trump has just said about AI and them having all the dictatorship and control over how it's used, how it's rolled out, and how it's played out across America? There is no difference. I cannot believe this is not a bigger news story. Even I cannot believe this is not a bigger news story in the mainstream press, because if you remember, through 2016 into 2020, Trump was sold by the mainstream media as this fascist, this new Hitler, this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, they're very, very different in their narrative around him. That first term created this anti-system hero in the eyes of many people. Now, he's a system stooge. He always was. But even the perception, because all those people that claimed he was Hitler and he was this, he was that, they should be all over this story. Because this story is very Hitler-esque in the sense of it's creating a fascist environment. But there's silence. Why? There's silence because this is the agenda. The agenda is for AI and technology to be controlled by a central point. They just needed the right person to sell it to the American public and sell it to the world. Simple as that. And the reason this is so important, as I alluded to at the top of the episode, is this AI control system where humanity are connected to AI, where our free thoughts, our consciousness becomes a thing of the past, that relies on this technology being there. It's not going to just be able to be rolled out. They need the foundations. They need the building blocks to be able to make that a reality years down the line. And that relies on this technology. That's why it's fundamentally important for them to control it, to control the narrative on it. That's why, regardless of what you see in the public domain, there is no rivalry between different states when it comes to AI. You look at Russia, you look at China, you look at the US, you look at Europe, they're all on the same page. We have this illusion of a rivalry between the Chinese and the Americans. They exchange thousands and thousands of students and research papers between their top universities on this subject every single year. Go and check that out for yourself. It's not difficult to find that evidence. Why do they do that if there's this rivalry? What they're trying to create in the public domain is this kind of space race to the moon 2.0 that we saw in the 60s between Russia and the US, where it supposedly pushed each side to develop technology quicker. We're seeing that now with AI. This illusory rivalry where the American public are being sold, look, we've got to get better than the Chinese at this technology because at least if we control it, it's safe. If they do, who knows what's going to happen? And I'm sure the Chinese are being sold the same narrative about the Americans, when in truth they're in bed with each other because this agenda transcends borders. Passport control and country borders are only for the people. They're not for the cult. They're not for the agenda. They cross country borders. Hence why whatever nation you go into, anywhere in the world, at different stages, yep, you will see evidence of the same agenda unfolding. Why is that? If all these hundreds of nations are supposedly sovereign and operate in their own way, with their own culture, with their own leaders, with their own independent institutions, why do they all seem to operate in exactly the same way? Why did the whole world, apart from Tanzania, react to COVID in the same way? Because it was a script. It was an agenda, and they were all just playing their part. But the sinister nature of this story is one that I'm shocked is not making bigger headlines. I say shocked, I shouldn't be at this point. But it's one that as an alternative media, we need to share far and wide and highlight. Because this technology is so pivotal, as I've said, to the next stage, or the final stage, really, of their agenda. This cannot be allowed to go unquestioned and unchallenged. Right, thank you for tuning in with me if you're watching with us on YouTube or Twitter. Head over to iconic.com if you click the link in the description, or if you're on Twitter, the link in the first comment on the post. We're going to talk about technology more in the UK. We're going to talk about how more people are spending time online more now than they were even during the pandemic. And then we're also going to talk about Palantir and some of the lovely kind words their CEO has said, which relates again to AI, the type of people behind this technology. Nice people. See you there.